Hey y'all, I'm James Wright and welcome to the shop. Today we're going to be making a few marking knives. Now TayTools has recently created a bunch of marking knives and you can get them with a kit like I'm using, or you can get them with walnut handles. And he sent me one to play with, and then along with that sent 16 others. So I'm going to be doing a giveaway at the end, so stay tuned to the end and we'll be having a little bit of fun with that. So let's dive into making these two. Lignum vitae, live oak, knife blanks. So, TayTools reached out to me and they said, I've started offering these knife blanks. Can I send you one to make a knife with? And I said, sure, go ahead and send it to me. We'll have a little bit of fun. And he sent me all of these. So I'm going to make 2 knives today, but what should I do with the rest of these? I know. Let's do a giveaway. This is going to be fun. The first thing that I want to do is to actually shape the iron. Now these come pre-hardened, so you need to do this on a diamond plate or anneal them first and then re-harden them. But this took quite a bit of grinding down, but I wanted to get that shape on one of them. Not necessary, but it was something I really wanted to do. And here you can see the ending shape on there, just to make it a little bit more comfortable in the hand. And that took a good bit of time, but once it's done, and you can move on to the next step. For this, I'm going to be using some live oak. This is a scrap that I got when I was out working on tally-ho. Beautiful piece. I stabilized it a while ago, so it's got a really nice grain to it, and yeah. Live oak is one of my all-time favorite woods. Just beautiful in all the way. Grain goes everywhere you want, and it's gorgeous. We're going to start by cutting these scales for this, and I'm cutting them just a little bit smaller than 1/4 inch. I want to make them bigger than they need to be. That way I can come back and shape them to what they should be. So we're going to rip these down into pieces, and they're actually not quite large enough to get 2 scales out of each of these scraps. So I can plane it down and then cut another scale out of this same piece. And then once I get those, then we can rip them down into smaller pieces that will fit on one side of the marking knife blank. So again, we're going to rip down. This was the live oak with the stabilization is a pain to cut. It is actually more difficult to cut this than the lignum vitae. So next we want to actually trim them down to a little bit larger than the blank that we're using on here. So I'm making it about a 1/16 inch wider than the steel blank. And we can rip those down, just be really, really careful when bending them and flexing them that you're not tearing them up. It's not an easy thing to do. For a lot of the little detail work, I often find it's easy to put a hand screw clamp in the vise. This raises things up, gets them a little bit more of a useful height, as well as it just makes it easier to work on because I can get all the way around it. I'm not running into the bench. So putting it up there just makes this a very easy thing to work, especially when I'm using a lot of rasps and files. If I'm ever shaping a saw handle or a plane tote, this technique works really, really well because I can get down at an angle and work all the way around it without any problem on it. So I'm cutting an angle on either end of this just to match the shape of the head, and I really like the way that kind of complements the knife. So I'm going to be putting a bevel on either side with the file, and you can see how it kind of makes that shape a little bit farther back, and very pleasing little detail. Now to glue this together, we need to use some alcohol or a thinner of one kind or another to wipe off any grease or oil that might have accumulated on there. And I'm going to be using a slow cure epoxy. There's this 30-minute stuff that I used a few times, and I kind of like it. If I don't use this, then I'm probably going to go with one of the Total Boat High Performance, but that takes a lot longer to cure. Whereas this, I can work on it, and then I can come back later in the day and do some work on it. So this is just a little bit more functional of a glue to use. I'll leave a link to it down below if you want to see the exact stuff. And then we want to clamp it all back on. Using some squeeze clamps on this, with epoxy you don't need an incredible amount of clamping pressure, you just need enough to hold it in place and bind the pieces together. So now let's go through and do all of those steps again, but this time with the lignum vitae. And this stuff is incredibly hard, but it is so buttery to plane. Because it's smooth and clean, and especially with the filing work, it is incredibly easy to work with. It is very hard and it will dull your tools, but with that being said, it does work very well. We're going to do the exact same thing on the other knife and epoxy that on. So once those have been done, then we can take them out and we can drill from one side through the other. And we're going to put this through the mounting holes so that we have a location on the back side. And then once that has been cured, then we can apply the other side. Sometimes if the epoxy comes around, it's good to use a bad chisel to scrape it off. Using a diamond plate here just to smooth off any of the epoxy that was sticking up, getting a nice clean surface so that we can glue onto the other side. And here you can see drilling through the lignin vitae. Woohoo! So yeah, drilling through this time so that we'll have the location hole on the other side. That way when we clamp the other scale on, we can then drill back through and clean that out. It's always important to dump a bunch of alcohol on your bench. It helps everything and keeps the finish good and tacky for you. So now it's time to glue on the other half of each of the scales. So now that all the scales have been made, it's a pretty simple, straightforward process. Do the same thing again, clamp them down in place, let them sit, and then you can come back and work on them later. And just like that, they're done. Hey, look at that. Pretty. Now that you've got marking knives. Okay, let's end this video. Oh, wait, we actually want to finish these. So now that we have the location pins all the way through, we can then drill back through the opposite direction, and this will give us a pinhole that goes all the way through the blank. And we want to make these a little bit tight. The bit I used, I think I could have gone a tiny bit size smaller if I had one, but this one was a little bit loose, but not that bad. I'm going to add a bit of epoxy to the pins and then put a bit of epoxy down into the holes. And here you can see how loose they are. They still go in, but they're a little bit more loose than I'd like. Once that epoxy is set, then we can come in and cut them off. Make sure to jab yourself and ding the tip on the knife like I did. Oops. Now for the final detail, we can come in and file everything down and rasp it into the shape. For this first one with the live oak, I'm going to actually smooth the whole thing and round it off. I like that rounded feeling in the hand, but it just takes a little bit more work. I'm going to use the rasp to get everything close to what I want, and then I'm going to come in with the 4-in hand and detail it down. If you want to see these, I'll have links to them below. For the final detail, I'll use the bow sander on it. I have a video to making that. It's just great for getting rounded edges and cleans up really nicely. On the lignin vitae, I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to flatten all 4 sides, and then I'm actually going to chamfer the edges, because chamfer just feels good in the hand, as well as a rounded edge. It's one of those personal preferences. Taping up the edge just to make sure you don't slice yourself, and also protects the blade a bit. Sometimes I like to do that earlier, and sometimes I like to do it just when I'm getting close to doing all this detail. So you can see how I'm chamfering the edge on all 4 corners. I can clamp it in the vise in one spot and work on that. For the very end, I need to do a little bit more file work, so we clean that up on there. Ooh, boiled in cereal, happiness, oh, happiness. Oh, especially this one, when the live oak comes out, it just, the grain explodes. Oh, yes. Oh, this is one of my favorite parts. I love that. Really, really happy with how these came out. Just a little bit of detail in the grain, and they look good. We're going to let them set, let the boiled in cereal cure a little bit, then come in, wipe in paste wax, let the paste wax harden, and then we can polish it off. And they're done. Unwrap them and put them to use. These are relatively simple to make, and most people can make them fairly quickly in their shop as long as you have the blading kit. So happiness. Oh, yes. They work. So I'm looking forward to showing these off, but I'm also looking forward to giving the rest of these away. And speaking of which, we've got a whole pile of these to give away. So if you want one of these, stay tuned. I will tell you how, and links should be down below. Good luck. So there you have it. These are a lot of fun. They are slightly different than my personal one. This one was made by Dan the Maker Man, and mine is a little bit longer, has a little longer shank on them. But I really like how these came out, especially the one with the rounded side. That feel is exactly what I want. I was playing with the chamfered edges like this one, and that's really nice. The thicker weight feels good, but the thinner weight just is a little bit smoother in the hand. So I kind of like a little bit of both. My personal one is a lot thinner, like the thinner style of these. So now I've got a whole bunch of these other ones that he sent me, and I'm going to be giving them away. We have 16 of them to give away. Half of them I'm going to give away to people who comment here, and the other half are going to be given away on Gleam. If you go down in the description down below, there's a link to the giveaway there. Go on there and you can be entered for a chance to win one of these 16 knives. Ooh, delali, this is going to be kind of fun. So if you like this, let me know down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas. Do you like them with the finger notch? Do you like them to have the straight sides? What do you like? So I think that'll about do it for today. Good luck to everyone who's trying to win one of these, and go check it out and see the several different styles you can order if you don't win one. Also, I want to say a huge thank you to the patrons on Patreon. I know I say it every week, but really this channel would not be here without you, the patrons on Patreon. So thank you for all of your support and your help along the way. I really do love doing that, and I'm looking forward to the live hangout coming out in a little bit here. So say thank you to everyone scrolling on the side, and I think that'll about do it for today. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and good luck. So if I were to put my logo on a knife, does that make it a marking knife? I gotta try that.